My grandparents, on both sides, were close friends for years before I was born. Their kids getting married brought them together, and they were close. When I, a 17-year-old male, was born, my two sets of grandparents decided to come together and save money for me to go to college or buy a house one day in the future. They continued even when things with my mom got complicated and my parents separated, and again after my mom died, they continued. When my maternal grandparents passed away within a year of each other, my paternal grandparents kept saving money and honoring what the four of them had started. My dad remarried not long after my mom died, but they were separated for a long time before that, without ever being legally divorced. It's complicated. My dad became a stepdad when he remarried. His stepchildren are 16, 13, and 11. My dad and his wife Marie had two kids together as well. They are 8 and 7 years old now. I'm not close to my dad or his family. My step-family, I do live with them, for obvious reasons, but I wouldn't lie and say I love them or that we're all a happy family. There's tension mostly related to my mom and my mom's two siblings, and I just never spend time with the kids. My grandparents told me about the money recently. They weren't subtle enough about saying they needed to talk to me, and my dad remembered the money they saved. He asked, and we all denied what it was about, but he pressed the issue and told Marie about it. She claimed it was clear that my grandparents had informed me that the money was being divided evenly between the 6 of us now. My grandpa said no. He also said this was none of her business, so they argued. Grandma took me aside so I wasn't caught in the argument, but my dad and Marie did bring me into it later. They told me that anything I get from my grandparents, I must share. I told them my maternal grandparents were part of saving, and none of the others were related to them, so it made no sense to do that. They told me it made sense when all 6 of us are siblings, and my paternal grandparents are related to all of us, and they contributed to it. I told them I don't have the money anyway. Marie told me to ask my grandparents to share it because they can control it, and they have a say as the savers. She told me it's what you do for family and what I should do to be a good brother. I had rejected any kind of brotherly role before this, and now it was my time to step up and show I care, even a little, about my siblings and their futures. I didn't ask. Marie and my dad have brought it up several times since. When my dad and Marie realized I wasn't going to, they told me I can leave their house on my 18th birthday and live with either my grandparents or one of my mom's siblings, since I'm so attached to blood and care nothing for chosen family. They also told me I can explain to the others that I won't help them. I said no, that I wouldn't explain anything, and they can hate me if they want because I don't care. Am I the jerk? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your father and his wife are the terrible people. I'm glad your grandparents told them to back off. The fact they are threatening to throw you out unless you give them your money is called blackmail, and they are disgusting people. I hope you do find somewhere to live where you are away from those toxic wastes of space. Not the jerk. Comment 2. Ask your grandparents to control the money for you for a few more years to prevent your parents from having access to it. They can give it to you in chunks if you need it. Leave and tell everyone your parents kicked you out and are punishing you for not sharing money you are not in control of because they want to spend it. Now, for the update. A few weeks have passed since the argument about the money. The situation with my dad and Marie has become pretty quiet. They're still kind of icy to me, but nothing like before. Guess they figured out that just because they have a reason, they can't push me around. I've been spending more time with my paternal grandparents. They even helped me get a car, so I'm driving a lot more now. We got this beat-up old Honda Civic that they insisted on getting fixed up first. It's not fancy, but it gets me from point A to point B without having to rely on the bus or my grandparents to take me. I went to visit them one afternoon after school, and they invited me to their home for a family dinner that Saturday. I guess the folks are still in trouble because it was just my grandparents, my aunt, my uncle, and a few cousins, plus me. It was actually really nice. My cousins and I used to be pretty close when we were younger. Life got busy, and we kind of drifted apart, but it's like nothing changed when we were all together again. I missed that. During dinner, the topic of the money came up again, but in a more relaxed manner. I was kind of expecting it, so I was surprised it took this long for someone to bring it up. My grandpa mentioned how proud he was of the savings plan. He said both sets of grandparents worked together to set it all up, and he was glad they stuck to it even when things got rough. It was nice hearing him talk about it. My grandma chimed in, saying it was always meant to help me with college and to help me get a car and a down payment on a house one day. She said they always saw it as a way to help me get started in life. Then, my grandpa hinted that he had a surprise for me coming soon. He wouldn't say what it was, but I could tell it was something important to him. A few days later, my grandparents called me to meet for coffee. I was a little nervous because it was a pretty vague invite, but I didn't think it was anything bad. They wouldn't bring me to the coffee shop to tell me they were cutting me off. I hope not. When I got there, I noticed my grandpa was acting strangely. He was really quiet and kept fidgeting with his hands. After some small talk, he finally got to the point. He revealed that he was setting up a trust for me. It's not like I know a ton about this stuff, but apparently there are all sorts of legal protections that come with a trust. He wanted to ensure the money was kept safe for me and that nobody else could just come in and take it. He said Marie had been asking him about the money. Like, a lot. He expressed disappointment in Marie's approach. He said she was trying to pressure them into giving her and my siblings a cut of the money. I don't know if he knew how bad Marie was, but I could tell he was really shocked by her behavior. It was like she was trying to squeeze money from a stone. A few days later, I got a call from my dad. He wanted to discuss the family dynamic and the money situation. He asked if we could meet up, and I agreed to meet at a diner close to my school. It's not like I was going to say no. What was he going to do? Show up at my school and grab me? When I got there, he pushed for a family compromise regarding the money. He wanted me to ask my grandparents to give my siblings and Marie some of the money. I stayed firm and said I wouldn't be sharing any funds. He seemed frustrated and raised his voice a little, which got attention from nearby tables. It was embarrassing. I wasn't about to let him act like a lunatic in public, so I just got up to leave. I didn't even say goodbye. I just walked out. Later that week, I overheard Marie talking to a friend on the phone. I was sitting in the living room, and she thought the TV was loud enough to drown out her voice. It wasn't. She was discussing how to manipulate the situation to get the inheritance. She said she was going to do whatever it took to make sure her kids didn't lose out on anything because of me. The whole time I was sitting there, my stomach was just twisting. I couldn't believe it. I was still mad at my dad, but this was just another level. I couldn't believe how low she was willing to go. I decided I was going to confront her about it. On the phone, she said she was going to get a lawyer and do whatever it took to get the money. I was done being nice about it. I confronted Marie about the phone call. I tried to stay calm, but it was hard. She dismissed my concerns, saying I misunderstood the conversation. I told her I didn't misunderstand anything. She was talking about getting a lawyer to contest what was mine. I told her if she wants to go that route, she's going to lose. I told her what she was trying to do was illegal. I wasn't backing down. In retaliation, I decided to gather information about the trust. I went to my grandparents and asked for details about the setup of the trust. They explained the legal aspects and how it would protect me. They said if my dad tried to claim the money, it would be a complete waste of time and money. The trust was set up in such a way that no one could come after it. The next family gathering was a birthday party for my younger cousin. I had planned on going anyway because I wanted to see everyone, but it also gave me a chance to have a talk with my dad and Marie. I decided to confront them in front of everyone. I didn't want to cause a scene, but I also wanted everyone to know the deal. I revealed the details about the trust, making it clear they had no claim. The atmosphere shifted. His dad was visibly angry, while Marie's face turned pale. It was awkward, and I felt bad for my cousin, but it was worth it. My dad was so mad, but everyone else was really surprised. They had no idea this was going on. I left the party without saying goodbye. I felt the moment was enough. A few weeks later, I received a letter from a lawyer. The letter stated that Marie was contesting the trust in an official capacity. She was trying to do it legally now. She was never going to back down. She was going to keep pushing until she got what she wanted. I decided I would not back down. She wasn't going to scare me into giving up or giving in. I was ready for the next phase. Things are still complicated, but I'm not letting anyone intimidate me into giving in. It's frustrating dealing with this legal battle, especially since I know Marie will stop at nothing to get what she wants. But I've got the support of my grandparents, and I'm staying strong. I'll keep you all posted if anything big happens, but for now, I'm just trying to focus on school, my new car, and enjoying time with my family. To answer a few questions, my grandparents initially set up the money plan with my maternal grandparents to help me with college and buy a house. I'm 17 and in my final year of school. I don't know how much money is involved, but it's substantial. My dad has not cut me off. Am I the idiot for telling my friend's girlfriend I don't like blondes and causing drama in our group? About a month ago, I, a 32-year-old man, had my middle school friend Mike, also a 32-year-old man, and his girlfriend Jessica, a 30-year-old woman, over for a canceled Dungeons & Dragons game. I showed them a comedy YouTube channel I have followed for years. Last week, Mike and Jessica became huge fans of the channel and even got others in our group to watch it. During our weekly Dungeons & Dragons meetup, our dungeon master, a 28-year-old man, asked which female cast member we would date. Most picked a blonde cast member, including Jessica, who said, "She's hot." When it was my turn, I chose a brunette cast member I thought would make a good girlfriend. Mike, assuming I would pick the blonde because she is the obvious answer, started pressing me for reasons. I mentioned that I don't find blonde-haired women attractive. To be clear, that's not the only reason. The list included that I preferred the on-screen personality of the brunette. She seemed loving, caring, and passionate, and matched my own sense of humor. The main point for me, though, was that the blonde girl was recently married, and I feel weird crushing on celebrities I know are in a committed relationship, having once been married myself. That night, Mike texted me saying I hurt Jessica's feelings because I called her unattractive. I told him Jessica is pretty, and I'm sorry I hurt her feelings, but of course, I'm not attracted to her. She's his girlfriend. The blonde hair is just a personal preference I have. I went to sleep and woke up to messages from Mike, the Dungeons & Dragons group, and mutual friends. Mike had messaged everyone, claiming I called Jessica ugly because she's blonde, which was not what I said. I called Mike to clarify, explaining that not finding a YouTuber attractive didn't mean I think Jessica is ugly. A person can be pretty and not be attracted to them. Mike then asked if I found Jessica attractive, and I replied, "Why does that matter? She's your girlfriend. I'm not supposed to be." I've always been kind to her and treated her with respect, even joining in on the jokes the group would say about how she is out of his league. The last week has been like high school all over again, texting people to clarify what was said. Rumors spreading, speculation, he said, she said. We are all grown adults. What the hell? I tried getting Jessica's number to talk with her directly and apologize for the misunderstanding. But all communication has been through Mike or a third party. Last night, no one showed up for Dungeons & Dragons at my place like we have for 3 years. One of the guys texted me they went to Mike's place instead. This week, Mike was informing everyone that both he and Jessica were out of the group if I was still there. Additionally, Jessica was saying things about me being just jealous because Mike got a hot girlfriend while I was alone with my hand and pictures of the girl he dated in high school. I personally don't believe that was said by her, as she's never been a mean-spirited person. The whole group knows that girl was my wife, who, along with our 4-year-old child, died in 2020. The Dungeons & Dragons game was originally set up to help me with depression and cope with the grief. The whole thing is just so stupid, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. But I'm a blonde girl. Am I not attractive? How dare you? You've broken my blonde little heart. Wump wump. P.S. The wife comment? I would have gone mad. Anyone that heard that and didn't stick up for you over that traumatic incident is absolutely vile. and doesn't deserve your presence in the future. That isn't a friend. Friends defend your name in rooms you're not in. Comment 2. What is wrong with you people? This friend group sounds exhausting to be near. You claim to be in your 30s and have the time and energy for this kind of hyper-dramatic nonsense? Not the idiot. Now for the update. 3 days after that last D&D meetup, I got this text from Sam, another buddy in our group. He's asking if I'm okay after everything that went down. I mean, seriously, what kind of adult drama is this? So I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, but then Sam hits me with some more tea. Apparently Mike and Jessica are out there saying I'm obsessed with Jessica. Like, what? So I decide enough is enough. I gotta confront this dude, Mike. We always meet at this pizza place, so I pick that spot. I show up, and this guy is just on edge. He's all defensive, saying he hasn't said anything about me being obsessed with Jessica. I'm like, dude, our whole friend group is messed up because of you guys, and it's ruining everyone's vibe. He goes on this rant, saying I'm trying to ruin his relationship with Jessica. Then it gets even worse, and he says I'm just jealous of their bond. I remind him that I lost my family, and this whole situation isn't about jealousy. This dude has the nerve to just brush that off, saying I'm using it as an excuse. The next day, I'm like, okay, maybe talking to Jessica will help clear this up. So, we meet at this coffee shop, and she looks like she doesn't even want to be there. I tell her that I never called her unattractive, and all the rumors hurt me. She keeps saying she felt insulted and can't get why I didn't pick her. I'm just done at this point, so I tell her she needs to stop letting Mike control how she feels about herself. She gets all defensive and just storms out, saying she needs to think. Now I'm sitting there like, what even was that? So I hit up this old friend of mine, Ben. He's been through a falling out with Mike too, so he gets it. Ben suggests we organize a group meetup to clear the air, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a plan. So we set up this barbecue at my place, inviting the entire crew, including Mike and Jessica. The day comes, and wouldn't you know it, Mike and Jessica show up late. It's just the cherry on top of this mess. So, during the barbecue, it's all awkward silence. No one's really talking, and I'm just like, this isn't how friends should be, you know? I decide to address everyone, telling them we need to be more open in our communication. Then Mike just cuts me off, acting like I'm trying to make him look bad in front of everyone. I'm like, dude, this isn't about you. It's about resolving this mess. The argument escalates, and a few friends jump in to mediate. Finally, Jessica speaks up, saying she's caught in the middle and just wants this drama to end. This gets Mike to spill his frustrations, and he admits he overreacted. By the end of the barbecue, Mike actually apologizes to me for spreading the rumors. Jessica also comes through with an apology, realizing her assumptions just made everything worse. We all agree to put this mess behind us and move on like adults. A week later, out of nowhere, I get a message from Mike. He's inviting me to this gaming convention. At the convention, we actually have fun and share some laughs. It's like we're creating new memories together, and it feels good. We all agree to meet up regularly for gaming nights, so we don't end up drifting apart again. To answer a few questions, Mike and Jessica have not tried to involve their partners in this situation. The whole friend group was affected, but most of them didn't take sides, which helped resolve the issue. The reason I didn't cut Mike and Jessica off completely was that I didn't want to lose the friendships I had built over the years. This experience was tough, but it showed me the importance of clear communication and being mature. Am I the idiot for leaving my wife and daughter in Venice because my mother-in-law shared our toothpaste? I, 38 years old male, am the sole breadwinner of this house. I have a wife, 35 years old female, and a daughter, 5 years old female. My wife and I have been planning this family vacation to Venice for months. For context, my daughter is very little and she needs constant attention, or she will get into trouble. Venice has always been my wife's idea of a romantic city, so it's been her dream to go there. However, we can't just leave our daughter at home. We initially wanted to leave her at my mother-in-law's house, but she wanted to come with us, and my mother-in-law said that it was her dream to visit too. My wife was very supportive of this idea, but I was more reluctant. My wife planned everything, booking the hotels and the restaurants. However, to my dismay, she booked one room with 2 queen beds instead of 2 rooms with 2 king beds. I planned for this to be a romantic getaway and did not want my daughter in the room with us. We could easily afford 2 rooms, but my wife wanted to keep an eye on her as well. To make matters worse, my mother-in-law was constantly in my space. She also had to share all of my wife's expensive products, face wash, shampoo, lotion, etc. My daughter likes to sit on our bed when my wife and I are gone to the city, and I come back to see that my mother-in-law was sitting on our bed too. It is very unhygienic to me, and I don't like that she was sitting on the bed that my wife and I share, as I am a very private person. She also rummaged through our suitcase looking for a hair tie, and it really irked me that she did so without asking me. I don't like the thought of her looking through our stuff when we're gone, so I locked it. The final straw was when I woke up in the morning and saw that my mother-in-law had yet again forgotten something. For the last few days, she had been sharing the same toothpaste as my wife and me. I don't like the thought of her putting her toothbrush close to or even on the toothpaste nozzle, and I felt ill the more I thought about it. I asked my mother-in-law if the only reason she came was to freeload off of my wife and me, as she didn't pay for any of the expenses, hotel, amenities, food, only for her own plane tickets. I said that I've asked her politely several times to stop using my wife's things, especially because I share them with her, and it's very inappropriate. My mother-in-law was very upset and told my wife, and my wife screamed at me. I was very angry that the trip that I paid for with my own money was now ruined, and I changed the date of my plane ticket and went straight home. My wife has called me several times afterward, screaming at me and saying that our daughter is upset. I feel bad that our daughter was caught in the situation, but it was really not acceptable what my mother-in-law did, and I had to set some boundaries before it got worse. My wife has her own card and enough money to stay there. I'm not sure about her plans about staying or not. I've been ignoring her calls to take some time for my own mental health. To add, thank you to everyone that responded. I'm reading through each response carefully, and I have realized my mistakes. I'm taking tonight to write a sincere apology, and I will be calling my wife first thing in the morning tomorrow. Thank you again. I love her more than anything, and I want to make amends. Now for an update. I just called my wife to deliver my sincere apology. I am writing this with a heavy heart. She has blocked my number, and my mother-in-law informed me that she will be looking into divorce proceedings. I have never thought about this happening, and I am at a loss of what to do. I have failed our family as a husband and as a father. I am not angry at my wife for this decision, but I still cling to the hope that I can turn this around. I am about to lose the love of my life over a stupid mistake that I made. I was not rational when I stormed off. She did not deserve any of my attitude. I am praying at this moment that after some time apart and after I change myself for the better, she will reconsider this divorce. I am going to contact a therapist and marriage counseling after posting this. I feel myself spiraling, and I don't want to think about how I ruined my life in the span of these 48 hours. Again, thank you to everyone that responded. I will be logging off for a while and working through my thoughts. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do next. All I know is that I have lost the love of my life, and I have no way to contact her. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. My world has just come crashing down. I'm sorry, Maria. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're the jerk. Your complaints are that your mother-in-law was using your wife's products, not your products, sharing toothpaste and sitting on a hotel bed, which more than you and your wife have used, all while she babysat for you so that you could have a romantic trip. Oh, and your mother-in-law had to pay for her own plane tickets for the privilege. So in the end, you are talking about a few dollars worth of product, a few cents of toothpaste, some meals, and 1/5 of a hotel room, but she was using you, and now you are ignoring your family after skipping the rest of the trip. I wouldn't expect to be married for much longer. Comment 2. You're the jerk. I had to set some boundaries before it gets worse. Buddy, it went worse long before you said that. You straight up threw a hissy fit and rage quit your vacation because, let me check my notes. Oh yeah, Your wife shared her expensive products with her mother. My mistake. Your products because you paid for them. I see a future no-contact situation from your daughter because someone is going to explain how unhinged you are. 2 guesses on who will explain that to her. Trick question. It will be both your ex-wife and ex-mother-in-law. Now for the update. A few days after I got back from Venice, I got a text from my wife asking to meet up at our favorite Italian restaurant. Can't say no to some good pasta, right? I agreed, hoping it was a chance to talk things over and maybe fix what was left of our relationship. So off I went, thinking maybe we could at least get some good food out of this. The restaurant was pretty busy as usual, but we got this little corner table that felt more like a cage. I sat down, and it was like the air was thick with drama. We were across from each other, eating our feelings in silence. My wife started talking about how the trip had impacted our family. No kidding, right? I was already on this roller coaster of bad decisions and bad toothpaste. I tried to explain my side of things, but it felt like talking to a brick wall. She had this look like she was somewhere else, probably in Venice, enjoying some actual romance. Then she brought up our daughter, saying she was affected by our fight. Yeah, like I didn't already know that. She hit me with the news that she had been talking to her mother about the whole situation. I mean, of course she had, because why not drag my mother-in-law into this mess? I asked if we could work things out for our daughter's sake, but she seemed so distant, like really distant, like outer space distant. She said she needed time and dropped the news that we should separate while she figured things out. I was just sitting there, probably looking like I'd seen a ghost. We finished our food in silence, and I dropped her off at home, feeling like I was living in a soap opera. Days went by without any communication. I just went on with my daily routine, which is basically a fancy way of saying I binge-watched a lot of shows and ate cereal for dinner. I started noticing that our daughter seemed sad and withdrawn. It bothered me more than I'd like to admit. I never wanted her to feel caught in the middle of our mess. I decided to reach out to my wife again, but the responses were short and cold. I felt like I was texting a robot. Then one evening, I got a call from my daughter's school about a behavioral issue. My stomach dropped. The school counselor told me our daughter had been acting out and seemed anxious. That was all it took for me to kick it into high gear. I couldn't let this continue. I reached out to the school directly to see how we could help her. During the conversation, I learned about a family support workshop they were offering. I signed up, hoping it would help my daughter, and, if I was lucky, maybe my marriage too. The workshop started with a group discussion, and I watched other families share their issues. It was honestly kind of comforting to know I wasn't alone in this chaos. During one of the sessions, I shared the story of our trip to Venice. I even got some constructive feedback from other parents on how to handle family conflicts. It was like a light bulb went off, and I realized maybe I had been going about this all wrong. I went home and immediately tried to engage my daughter in conversation. I asked her about her feelings and what was bothering her at school. She opened up a bit, and it broke my heart to hear what she was going through. I suggested we plan a fun family day to reconnect and lift her spirits. I knew it was just the two of us for now, but I wanted her to know that she wasn't alone in this. The next weekend, we went to a nearby amusement park, just the two of us. I can't even remember the last time we had that much fun together. We rode roller coasters, ate way too much cotton candy, and just enjoyed each other's company. Afterward, I could see her mood improving, and it felt like a huge weight had been lifted. Feeling encouraged, I decided to reach out to my wife once more. I sent her a message about our daughter's progress and the fun day we had. A few days later, I got a call from my mother-in-law asking to meet up. I was kind of apprehensive, but agreed anyway, mostly out of curiosity about her intentions. At the meeting, she brought up our daughter's issues and how it was affecting her. She suggested that we all needed to work together as a family to support her. I proposed we all attend a family counseling session together to address our issues. Surprisingly, my mother-in-law agreed, and we scheduled the first session. It felt like a small victory, and I was ready to take any win I could get. The first session went well, and communication started to improve among us. It was like a breath of fresh air, and I could feel the tension slowly easing. By the end of the month, my wife and mother-in-law acknowledged my efforts. They agreed to give me another chance to be part of the family dynamic. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it was a start. To answer a few questions, my wife and I are separated but living in the same area. Our daughter stays with me on weekends. The family support workshop has been beneficial, and we see a counselor once a week. We're all working on improving communication and rebuilding trust. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.